Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to another episode of Cryptic Crypto, the channel that gives you daily updates on the crypto market. And today I'm going to be just giving you a bit of an overview of XLM, some of the news, and why I think there's so many bears coming out the market going, it's going to drop, it's going to drop, it's going to drop. And yeah, just give you some, bullish sentiment, to be honest with you, and where I kind of see the market. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 250 by close of play today. I'm currently at 245 followers, and it generally does help. The more you guys like and the more you subscribe and hit the bell button, the more enthusiasm I have for each video that I do. So let's get straight into it. So XLM has been pumping. If we look at the week, 77.2% up. Huge, right? A lot of you guys probably got in if you've got XLM this year and probably like, Jesus, this coin is sleeping. Across the board though, looking pretty average. I know one of the things people were going yesterday and I was getting comments on was the market's crashing, and I even saw on YouTube people talking about why are altcoins taking such a dip, and I generally didn't understand it. I mean, generally speaking, look at the week, everything is up. Look on the day, look on the hour. Okay, some stuff but a general move of, what, 1%, 2%, 3% is quite common, up or down. 5% up or down. We're in crypto. Crypto is volatile, right? That's why we like it, because it can pump so quickly. And to be honest with you, some of that market sentiment where I've seen people on YouTube kind of warning people off, and I get it. Like, you've always got to look at the charts and be like, look, yeah, we could come back and retest, but that doesn't make me bearish. That's an opportunity to dollar cost average into the market to push up. And when I first posted this online, like ages ago, so I literally put XRP, please break this line. For anyone who was following me, when we were down here, I was like, we break this and we break this. Big key piece of resistance around $2.34. I was incredibly bullish. And I want to talk to you about fibs today, because a lot of the coins are kind of consolidating at our 0.618 fib line, which to me is not bearish at all. That's what you'd say. Like, anyone that thinks that the coin you hold is just going to go from $2 to $10 in a 24-hour period, especially with how the crypto market has grown and scaled. It's not like 2007, 2019, 2020, or 2021, when you could hold something and someone buys a few million and your coin absolutely skyrockets. Yes, we've had meme season, but that is a possibility. But if you are holding utility tokens that actually have value, and they are require larger volumes to increase, you're going to have this. Why has this happened? Look, a lot of people probably had shorts around the sort of $3 line, which then the bulls and the bears at XRP had a bit of a battle, wicked back down, and now we are trading around $2.78, which to me, if you were to ask me 3 days ago, which is why I'm still shocked at the bearish things, or 4 days ago, whenever it was, we were $2.29. We have had an upside, let's just get this right, from where we were, that annoying, a bit further than that. We had where we are trading literally today, we have had 24% roughly, and we did have obviously 31%, and with our low leverage strategy, we have been up significantly. And from that perspective, how can you be bearish on that? You can be bearish on the short term and saying, if you went down to the 4-hourly, and some of the news in the market, you could be like, oh God, look, what is this? But what is this beginning to look like? It's beginning to look like a bit of a bull flag, isn't it? We've got our support around $2.66, and we have our resistance, which I've marked out around $2.87. Again, when we break above that and we print a candle above this, not just break and wick back down, then we are looking to load up on the next phase. And the next phase is, I've got us wanting to hit $3.30. It's kind of a short-term one, but then we are looking at $4.50. I am incredibly bullish on XRP, and so far all of the trades that we've highlighted on this channel have been correct. Now, you could say it's a bit of luck. The channel's only been going 2 weeks, now, and you know, a lot of the trades that we've entered have gone up, but it is all based off you know, a variety of different factors when we take into effect our RSI, when we take into effect all these different things. And you know, we went into overbought territory. We're coming back down. You know, that's not a bad thing. We're over the weekend. I never open trades over the weekend. I think this is, you know, for me, I'm looking at, okay, where's the next move going to? If we are treating the 0.618 fib line as support now, that's incredibly bullish, because what that means is there's a lot more upside to come, and that's where I look at in terms of XRP. Again, let's look at XLM. The reason I want to highlight XLM is because it's not a chart that I've really highlighted loads within this, but it's obviously, you know, when you go at my crypto, my favorites, it's one of the ones that I hold quite a lot of. And even if you just look at the day today, we're 5.5% up, and I do have, you know, quite a large holding within that. Now, again, what have we done? We've broken the 0.618 fib line. We are, you know, we wicked above it, came back down, pushed back through. We're looking to obviously print that on the daily today, but incredibly bullish, right? So where are we looking at next? Roughly 70 cents. Again, bullish. So, you know, from that perspective, it's very easy if you're a YouTube channel to go like, when we're going up, we're going to come down. Because, you know, when you have a move to the upside, of course, you expect that, right? There's market makers, and if everyone is going long, and if you look at the liquidity heat map across the board, there are far more longs than there are shorts. And it's very easy then to go, we're going to go down. Now, would I be entering a long trade at this point on XLM? No, because I would expect us to maybe come back down, consolidate. You know, we could come back down to sort of 33 cents. I'm still bullish because that's the next line of support. Then, you know, we could be pushing to the upside, and that's probably where I begin to look at, you know, adding to my trades or my futures if I was, or adding to my spot bag based off volumes, RSI, MACD, and a number of other different factors. And guys, do your own research, because honestly, I think a lot of people overcomplicate this, and as long as you remain unemotional and you're not adding to your, you know, going up here and going like, oh, I'm going to add so much at the top, and then you're like, oh, all my profits have been liquidated because we've come back down, you know, you should do very well within this market. And it's all around exiting at the right time, which I will highlight on my channel when I'm exiting, because yes, I will be exiting a large proportion of my trades when I believe we are near the top, from that perspective. Because if we look at the alt season index, you know, on here it says we're roughly 27, which conflicts with coin market cap, which is 31, which says that we are, you know, if you actually open this up, you know, it says that we are beginning to push. Well, actually, it's, to be fair, it's kind of saying 28. Don't know why it's saying that there. Which are roughly above. So we're just a major, you know, when we're below 25, we are majorly in Bitcoin. It's saying that there is a bit of an uptrend now, from that perspective. And we need this to push up. And to be honest with you, we need Bitcoin dominance to come down below 61%. Which, if we look at Bitcoin dominance, I believe, yeah, cool. Right, look, we got this sloping line of support here on Bitcoin dominance, which I've had for a while now, and that's like, anyone who's been following the channel knows that, because I'm just literally looking at the trend line. I've also got, you know, this bearish pennant, like the yellow line going up through there. When we break that and we break this, I'm like, cool, we are pushing to the downside, and we broke, but we wicked back up, and now it looks like we could be going down again. And from my perspective, this is a long, you know, this is where I'm like, cool, roughly 61%. Cool, we are definitely heading towards alt season, and you'll begin to see the liquidity flow into all your altcoins. Not all of them, but the majority. To be honest with you, I know some people think it's few and far between because there's so much volume in there. I think the majority will do well. It's just you're going to have some outliers where it will actually be like an alt season in the past. And then when we break all the way down to what is support around 54.3, 43%, it's all going to go wild. And to be fair, then, you know, I might even be looking at exiting some of my trades. Cool. Again, on the subject of fib lines, because I do think a lot of people, YouTube, are maybe not necessarily discussing this will give you an idea when they're like, oh, cool, it's just going to, you know, we're going to pump, or they're like, now we're going to break down. Why are we going to break down? What are the reasons, and what could be part of that? So, you know, again, at the 0.618 on SUI, we've hit that. We wicked above it, 3.57. We're now literally consolidating just below. We need to break this to turn this into support for us then to look at our, next target, $5.45, or a median target of $4.33. Now, from that perspective, what could happen here? Well, it is not bearish, guys. It is not. If we come down, retest this line here, and then bounce up to the upside, that is not bearish. It is also not bearish if we come down here, consolidate roughly at this line of support, which you can see all along there. It's quite clear at $3.09, and then push up to the upside. It is also not bearish if we consolidate here, come above, turn this into support, and then go up. There's so many scenarios here, but all of them, generally speaking, are pretty bullish. Now, the macro environment, there's things that can change, like tariffs and like other subjects that can make it more challenging and can kind of falsify where the market's at. You can come all the way down, everyone sells, market makers are like, wee, and then we pump up. But looking at the market, I'm pretty confident. Cool. CRV. If I'm honest, CRV hasn't even come up to the first fib line. Now, it generally is beginning to catch up. And if you look at the CRV XRP dominance chart, or the CRV Bitcoin dominance chart, we are beginning to push to the upside. Now, we've had this long line of support that's been there for a while, and we've had this sloping line of resistance in this bullish pennant that we have now or bullish wedge, which we have now broken, come back, tested it, moved up to the upside, consolidated a bit around this area here, and my view is there's still a lot of upside before we decide what our next thing is, around about 71 cents. Again, incredibly bullish, especially when you look at where we started on. Roughly, we bottomed multiple times, treated that as a line of support at around 49 cents. 49 cents, if anyone followed my channel, was where we were looking at, adding to our spot bags. Perfect. Now let's look at ETH. Brilliant. A lot of you have seen this chart many times if you've watched me. And, like 95% that are actually watching are not subscribed. So please subscribe. It does help just with the YouTube algorithm, and it does, help from that perspective. And, I want to get the message out. Look, we've had this sloping line of resistance, back since May. We tested it once, twice, 3 times now, and we've not broken above it, and it's really clear to see. So people are like, we're going to go to, and we've, even when you look at the fib line, look, the fib line's really obvious too. Sorry, that's the line resistance I had here, 2585, right? Cool. You can see we're literally hitting it, turn that into support, and now we're pushing, and now we're looking at our 1.618 fib line. Really bullish, right? But we have to break this sloping line of resistance. And again, guys, if you are looking at this and looking and going like, oh god, like, it's just not doing what I'm expecting it. Look, we could come all the way back down, test this line, and then push up. This is horrible. Sorry, guys, that's not ideal. Let's just do this one. Yeah, so we could come all the way down here, consolidate, push. We could still do that, come down, and we could test and then push up, hopefully turn out. Or what we could do is we can consolidate here, turn it into a bull flag, push above, test this line of support, push up, test this line, and move up to the upside. But there is a lot. If you look at the CME gap, we are currently breaking through a lot of lines at the moment and leaving more liquidity. So it'll be easier for coins like CRV, ETH, etc. to push up to the upside. So again, none of these scenarios to me are bearish. Just because the price comes back down doesn't mean that that's bearish on the long-term environment, especially when you look at the rhetoric and what is happening in terms of the news out there and everything like that. If you look at any of our trades, all in profit. Now let's look at some bearish news, because I do think it's important. Look, Trump put 30% tariffs on EU goods. Now that is pretty bearish. And why did he do that? And that's why you probably saw some move to the downside yesterday, because markets are beginning to price this in, and crypto is the only one that can price that in during the weekend. Now, what do we need to see today? We want to see, when the US market opens, what effect has this had, because it's not just them. Look, there's a number of others: South Africa, Philippines, Thailand, South Korea, from August the 1st, which again, Trump has used this as a tactic consistently, then moved the dates back once people have done kind of agreements, etc., and stuff like that. The markets are beginning to price this in, because it is now becoming, rather than a shock value, expected. And we did see You know, obviously on Saturday, a bit of a move to the downside. You know, now they're beginning to see a bit of recovery. When the American markets open and the US stock market opens, it'll be interesting to see what obviously happens from that perspective. Again, look, history is repeating itself. Bullish news: ETH will hit 4,000 in Q3. Look at what they've done here. They've done like this is, you know, Bitcoin 2024, and this is Ethereum 2025. They look pretty much mirror image in terms of what that is. Again, that's bullish. Basically played out from a bull flag, fake out, came back down, pushed up to the thing. And again, this could be a number of different factors. Could have been news, could have been, you know, market makers trying to, you know, gain your liquidity, you know, anyone that's shorting the market to get there to make sure that you are stopped out and those stop losses are taken out. Again, you see this in Ethereum. Where does that leave us? Pushing up to the upside. If we follow this before, there's a lot of upside for us to go through. Now, again, old coin, like anyone that watched the video yesterday, we obviously spoke around the golden cross. It's about to happen. Last time this happened in Q4 2024, crypto market pumped 41% in 2 weeks. Alt season is coming. Now, cool. I said yesterday, the golden cross can be a leading or a lagging indicator where we've already gone through some of the upside, but it's still incredibly bullish when we're doing it because that's showing that the momentum in terms of from that perspective is pushing with crypto. I mean, it's a shorter term is incredibly bullish, and the longer term is beginning to catch up. Logically speaking, when you look at that, and if you look at this chart back here, you can see when the last time there was a golden cross, look, as I said, look, we were already pumping up to the upside, but when the golden cross, we even pushed even more. And you can see that across the board when you actually look at the market and stuff. When we look at Bitcoin, we are in the greed. We are not in, you know, the ultra greed or whatever it's called, where everyone is piling in and FOMO, and you know people are searching for crypto left, right, and center. That's the time to sell, guys. And let's look at some news. Robinhood doubles down on crypto with its own blockchain, 24/7 trading and tokenized stock. They are tokenizing stock. Like, you will be able to buy tokenized stock, which is basically crypto, from that perspective, offering European users access to tokenized US stocks and giving Americans a chance to earn rewards by staking cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and Solana. Incredibly bullish. I own quite a lot, or a right amount, of Robinhood, because, you know, obviously that mirrors with where I believe the market is going with the latest technology and how fiat is consistently being debased. When we look at the US, I don't know, US dollar, I don't know, let's just do pound. That's annoying. Let's just do, I don't do a huge amount of Forex, but it's annoying that my chart isn't here. Let's do US dollar, euro. Look, I mean, US dollar is consistently being debased. Consistently. Now, you would expect some upside at some point, but, you know, your dollar today is worth less tomorrow. I mean, there's some horrible stats if you go back to it. I'm sure if any of you had parents when they bought, you know, bought their houses for, you know, a tenth of the price you do, like, why is that? It's the same house, same location, but your dollar, your pound, your fiat is worth less. So, from my opinion, you know, I don't see the value in having loads of capital in my bank. Like mine is in crypto and stocks and investments, and that's what you should be looking at. Because when we actually look at the overall market, it's looking pretty good. We've actually entered greed for the first time in a long time. That's across that overall market at 68. That's not really far, but that's showing that there's beginning to become a bit of euphoria in the market. And that does generally mean that market makers are going to want to see a bit of a downside as everyone enters their longs, and we haven't. We've entered our longs well in the past and kept them open, but taken profits. I'm not entering any more longs here because I want to see what the overall market's going to do before I do, and I do want to see, you know, how the markets are priced in these new US tariffs and what Donald Trump's going to say on Monday, and that's why do not trade on the weekends. It's a fool's errand. You have Sunday pumps and Sunday dumps, and predominantly you are looking at retail or market makers making the fact of it. But this is incredibly bullish news, you know. And then when we look at this, we've moved alt season, as we've already mentioned. Cool, we've had a down of what, 0.12%. My overall portfolio, I think, is down for the last 2 days. It was like 0 point something ridiculous. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm up 0.92%. You know, like, let's have a look at the week. 23%. You know, doesn't include all of my allocation, but these are my main allocations that I have within the crypto market, and I am up significantly. So what, like, I don't understand the short-term bearishness, or I do understand the short-term bearishness, but you know, even if we come down 10%, we're still up 13% from where we are. And that's normal. If anyone that's been in the crypto market for a long period of time will know that is completely normal. And you need to get used to that. So like the short-term momentum and this kind of bearish rhetoric, which is being followed everywhere, you know, to be honest, you fuck the bears, in my opinion. It's all about the bulls, and I'm incredibly bullish within the market. I see a lot of upside still to come, but don't get me wrong, I see the window, like when we're up here and we are in alt season and we're 88, cool, we need to be selling. As soon as we get into this ultra greed phase, you know, we need to be, you know, getting out of it, because there is, look at how sharp this fell. And that's when you begin to see, like, you know, your altcoins and everything like that beginning to, you know, like fall out. Although, to be fair, when this was going up, the market, yes, was beginning to go up, but December and January was fantastic. But if we look at the greed index during the same period, you would see, you know, ultra things. And let's have a look at just like crypto currency, Google trends. Let's see if it's big. I'm sure, having a look, let's just look at Bitcoin. Well, I'm sure it's beginning to, cool. We are, well, to be fair, we're not really moving anyway. I was expecting us to move a bit to the upside. And that to me is crazy, right? Because retail still isn't in the market. And that when retail starts bullishly coming in, that's when you'll begin to see, you know, some of your lower caps like your clankers or your XCNs or your TEL coins. And some of the news that I've seen is obviously around banking. Look at TEL, guys. They were the first ones to, you know, successfully get one. I think it was in Nebraska. Now, guys, that's just a bit of an overview. I just, like I said, I wanted to go through some initial fib targets and highlight, you know, how I've come up with them and my honest bullish market sentiment right now. We could go down 10%, but I'm a complete bull. I believe, like, there's nothing I've seen in the market recently that has made me believe that we are flipping to a bearish market. And when we've pumped this much, and all you see is like, or you see people beginning to put out really bearish events, normally to me that's a great time to be in the market, because the more bearish people are, the better. But I do see that positive sentiment as well in the background for people that have been in this market for a long time and understand this is what we're looking at. If we look at the year, we have absolutely smashed it. The only one that is below is ETH, right? And Ethereum is beginning to have a move to the upside. The longer you consolidate, the higher the move. And you know, my targets for ETH are around $8,000 to $10,000. I'm just putting it out there. Those are my targets. That's where I'm expected to be. And look, like, we've just been absolutely smashing it from what we're holding. But if you look at the short term, you know, some people check the 15-minute charts and then put them on. My God, stop it. But yeah, guys, that's just an overview around the fib charts. Please do like and subscribe. I'm 5 off where I want to be by the end of the week. But yeah, appreciate your time. Have a lovely weekend. And yeah, peace.